Hang on, I will.
Get it out your system. Right, are we good, Alina?
Are we good?
I thought I was announcing. Right. Leave that in. Good morning and welcome to episode 81.
81, Adam.
81.
81, Adam. I'm not even that old.
That's 19 away from 100.
No, I didn't know you could do maths.
Check me out. Check me out. Good morning. How are you?
I am fine and dandy. What a week it's been.
We say that every week. We should get a T-shirt with that written on.
My goodness me.
What has happened in your week? I saw you this week, which was lovely.
Discussing things, and we were discussing automation.
We were.
Secret project we're working on.
Yeah, super secret.
No, it's not super secret really, but it's going to be good.
No, you've got a framework in Teams.
A framework in Teams that is automation, and I think it will just help you and help me.
Do you know what I think you should call it? Business in a box.
Business in a box.
Because it's kind of like that. By the way, I am stirring porridge, people. I've been swimming, not to show off or flex, of course.
Flexing muscles.
But yeah, I was like, if I don't swim now, it won't happen today. So
yeah, I thought you were always swimming. No, sorry, drowning in business.
Drowning. So yeah,
it's been a really busy week.
Yeah, it's been good, and I'm looking forward to that automation project. There's been a couple of things I've noticed this week. One, there is a social media viral video, which is some twins from Australia who were interviewed on the news.
Right.
They talk in sync, in unison.
Wow.
As in, do you know sometimes people finish each other's
sentences?
Yes. See, clever. These guys did their whole delivery of this interview together at the same time.
Staged?
No.
Wow.
And then they've been followed up on, some of the UK press have jumped on it and followed on. So I've come up with an idea, a little marketing idea. And this is about adaptive marketing, I think. So what we're going to do is me and Adam,
the better looking one,
being twins by name, definitely not by age. There's over a decade between us. Well, we're going to now script. They didn't script it, obviously, but we're going to script a video, and we're going to get Alina to interview us, and we're going to talk about how our week's been at Hubspoke. To see what that does in terms of the viral
scripted, you'll both say
so we'll say it at the same time, but we'll like trip over the script a little bit, so it sounds like we're trying to guess what each other's saying and doing this. But we're seeing so much of this now in marketing going on. The other week it was the make yourself into a toy action figure.
Yes, I need to.
Have you done yours?
No, I've not done mine, but I need to show you a photograph. You carry on talking.
Yeah.
So we'll find my father.
But what's amazing is, yes, of course. Yeah, you showed me that the other day. So that was in everybody's news feed 2 weeks ago. I've been on holiday for a week. Had a great time, by the way. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I'll come on to that actually. Yeah. But where have all the toy things gone? So there you go. So there is your father.
My father.
Yeah, that's giving you the Star Wars look there.
The Star Wars thing, and then
it looks fantastic. So, it looks very much like the Toy Story figure. I said, didn't I?
It did very, very much so. Bless it. Does say Old Git, which is my pet name for him. Bless
lovely,
him. But he calls him that himself.
What did he make of it?
He thought it was amazing, but oddly enough, it was like you were saying, but in a very short. He spent 5 minutes going, "Oh, it's fantastic, it's fantastic." Anyway, and just moved on.
Yeah, so everyone moved on in the week that I was off, but it was funny because some of the rugby guys, three of us in the front row, me, Chris, and Mike. Mike put a picture of us three in, and him and Chris looked fantastic, and I just looked like a potato.
Mr. Potato to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, talking about customers, he's a quick test for you, my friend. Where was I when I took that picture?
Dan, the man, the can, DMH Dan. There is big wire. Hold it up to the camera. They are huge. They are wire cutters. They are absolutely massive. Do you know what gave it away?
What, that?
The foliage on the wall and the wood panelling. Because I do like Dan from DMH's. Dan the other week was from facilities. Everyone's called Dan if you work in electrics. Dan from DMH. Dan from DMH, Electrical and Renewables out at Morton Park. His office is lovely.
I spent 2.5 hours with him.
Is he all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
2.5 hours with him, and he just basically sat me down and went, "Talk to me about Teams, Andy." After about half an hour, he was like, "I'm not getting this, Andy. Why? Just keep going, but explain it to me."
Yep.
After another hour, he went, "I think I'm getting it, but what else can Teams now do?" After the second hour, "Oh my God, can it do this? Oh my God, can it do this? Oh my God, can it do this?"
Exactly. And I was having a similar discussion about screening client, like when they've got a client inquiry and they want to get data. Forms. Great way of doing it. But yeah, Dan's great. I need to get back through to his office because he's put on the showroom elements now.
Oh, it looks beautiful, mate. He was even hoovering the carpet when I walked in that day. He went, "This is not for you."
He's a very diligent young man.
He's a lovely man.
So, on my holiday last week that you didn't ask me about.
Holiday,
yeah, I did, thank you. It was very
Enjoy
good.
it?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. But I went to Hadrian's Wall.
Did Adrian know about it?
He didn't.
Right,
Because it's nearly 2,000 years old. What on earth were they thinking, first of all, the Romans, right? It is ridiculous. It would be a ridiculous project to do now.
It would do. Let's go and build a wall this long.
Yeah, like 84 miles, I think it is, or something. Like, I am just like, how on earth where did they get all the rock? I was blown away.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not just a flat wall. We did a bit near Sycamore Gap. We saw the stump of
That's an
the
awful
Sycamore.
thing,
I know, it's
isn't it?
horrible. However, it is on like a crag. Up and down.
Yeah.
It was a hard day's walking. We had a fantastic time. But
Yeah.
Hadrian's Wall, you need to go and see it because actually, the scale of what they did back then. I mean, what did the Romans ever do for us, right?
I've also got something for you.
Have you? Well, all the roads are up there, bob on straight. We've obviously got the road that comes up just outside of Darton that goes all the way up
Yes,
towards Corbridge and the lights and all of that.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by what they actually did. But what equally, I'm like looking at it going, they spent all this time building the wall. They were only here for about 300 years.
I know. And yet in that time...
I'll get my coat.
Definitely.
As the last person puts the last brick in the wall,
I'll get my coat.
I'll get my coat. And I bet the builder was like, well, apparently there were slaves that were doing, which obviously isn't great.
No, I know.
But it was amazing in terms of what someone with ambition wanted to achieve.
Someone with ambition that decided to do that, mate, is just incredible in terms of what they've done. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just great. I'm busy trying to find.
Yeah. I also went to Vindolanda, by the way. Absolutely, Vindolanda.
Oh yes,
there's the fort. And it is absolutely a great spot. Now, if you haven't been, I mean, I've grown up here. I've never been to Hadrian's Wall. Do it because it was really good. Really, like such a great time up there. Beautiful part of the world. We also went up to Kielder Forest.
Very nice.
Amazing.
There,
yeah. We rode to Scotland for a snack.
There's
from Kielder. Yeah, so you can get on your bikes at Kielder. It's about 3.5 miles to the border.
Yeah.
And the sign says, "Welcome to Scotland. This is the end of the Waymark Trail. Return the way you came." Which made me giggle because obviously that's where one boundary ends in terms of path upkeep, and this, that, and the other. But no, it was an absolutely fantastic week. Kielder water is the biggest reservoir in Europe, man-made reservoir in Europe.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and I was like, I'll tell you what, kids, we'll go and bike around the reservoir.
Yes.
No, we won't. It's 26 miles.
You're not going to bike around the reservoir at all.
And it isn't flat either. It is up and down. But there are art installations all the way around the reservoir. And the dam element is like something out of a Bond movie. So you've got the wall of the dam at the bottom, and then you've got this tower that pokes up out the water, looking like a Bond villain's. So what there is there's a tunnel to get into this tower that pops out in the reservoir, and that's where they control all the valves.
And you're sure it's not a secret lair?
It could be. I mean, I couldn't see a bald man stroking a cat.
No.
I'm describing Dr. Evil, obviously, out of Austin Powers.
I thought you were talking about yourself.
Yeah, you're going to go there. I hate you.
Actually, you do it.
So absolutely worth a trip. Kielder Water is amazing. There's so many lovely little towns and villages. And I've been to Hexham before. That's fantastic, and it's always worth going back to Hexham. But if you haven't been to Hadrian's Wall, I would say go. because it was absolutely brilliant.
Ah, very good, very good. So
Have you found what you're looking for?
No, I've not found it. I'll keep going. You keep doing what you're going to do. I'm just
Right.
trying to desperately.
My last thing.
Yes.
On a rant.
Another rant.
Yeah. People, I've had a couple of people go and come to me saying they've asked ChatGPT for guidance.
On what?
On
things. Right.
Some could be, one was legislation about marketing in terms of,
right.
There's like government documents and guidance on advertising standards and this, that and the other. And someone asked ChatGPT to tell them how they could go about it properly. Now, don't.
I was just about to say, this is not sounding good.
Yeah, now I understand it, and it puts me in a position where, unfortunately, I've got to say, right, what some of it was saying is correct.
Of course, it would do,
because it's taking the internet data. However, just be careful. So, word of warning to anyone using ChatGPT. We all use it at the moment in terms of what we're doing and making ourselves into toys. But yeah, so people are going, I asked ChatGPT what I should do, and I've had to say yes, but that doesn't mean that it's quoting the legislation accurately.
No.
So please just bear that in mind if you're asking, and it may sound like a silly thing, but it kind of makes sense if you're going, we're saying that ChatGPT and AI is good for deciphering information and consolidating it.
I'll come on to that.
However,
yes,
if you're asking it for guidance,
no,
that is very, if you go summarize this, it looks at that and it'll offer you a summary. You still need to check it.
Absolutely.
If you're saying, tell me what to do with this, or can I do this based on this?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to be
accurate,
legal, ethical, if you've got, it depends what you're working with. So, a word of warning.
Absolutely. So, interestingly, I've had, over the last couple of weeks, I'm a big advocate of Microsoft Copilot, still need to get it myself.
Yep.
I had a wonderful meeting with our friends We Do HR upstairs, and they asked me to demonstrate Microsoft Copilot. At the lovely Alistair and Hannah, the owners of the business, they were doing it. And within about an hour, they went, can I have it, please? And what Alistair and Hannah were saying, obviously they work in the legislation of HR, I was very much saying, please be very careful, in terms of what they're doing. And they were saying, no, what we want to do, Andrew, is that they go through, being a HR company, you can appreciate they do go through some pretty heavy things.
Yep.
And it can be grievances, it can be other things, it can be or anything related to HR. And what Alistair and Hannah got me to do, and I will add that it was under NDA, stuff like that, but they got a 25-page document. I won't tell you what it's about. A 25-page document that Alistair and Hannah had to basically read and summarise. And they went, okay, here's a test. We'll send you the document, Andrew. Put it into Windows, put it into Word, and tell Copilot to summarise it. And basically, they both went, wow. I would say that was probably 99% accurate.
Yep, and that's why companies like them are great, because they can look at it and understand if it's accurate, because actually they're reading the full document anyway.
They are. Alistair and Hannah had already read the document.
Yeah. They're just testing it.
Correct.
However, if you're a small business owner and you've got staff, I've got staff, I have HR guidance, right? I wouldn't be going to ChatGPT going, my staff member's done this, what should I do?
You would not do that at all.
There's a prime example of where legalities and this, that and the other. So that is probably the difference of a good example of summarising versus advising. So just be careful. If you are using ChatGPT, it doesn't have all the answers and doesn't necessarily mean, and they do say this.
They say it all over the screen. Even Copilot and stuff like that. The other thing that I think was going to be interesting is, again, based upon the document that they sent me, they then said, can you draft me a response email?
Okay.
And basically, they told me what to say. Again, I'm not giving anything away. And the response that Copilot gave, and I demonstrated this to Alistair and Hannah, they were going, do you know what? Andy, for a starter for 10, that's like 70% of my work.
Yep.
And that's what they're using it for. And the phrase that you've heard me say a lot, and Alistair and Anna were like, you know what, Andy? I love it. It's like, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Use Copilot for what it's good for.
Getting to a certain point.
Getting to a certain point. And as you say, don't tell it to give you the answer. Based upon this, do this for me. And they absolutely loved it. They absolutely were over the moon with it. So 2 more orders. And then based upon that, you know that Mark, who we had in, emphasised digital.
Yep.
Obviously, Hannah and Mark.
Not
together.
Mark, the truck mechanic.
No, not we.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Mark. Hannah was then talking to Mark. Knock on the door. Oh, hi, Mark. Can I help you? Yes. Can you show me Microsoft Copilot?
I think you need to do a webinar.
I think I do. Yeah, we do a webinar. So yeah, fantastic. Anyway, sorry, I'm still looking.
Yeah, I don't know. You're staring at something. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll find it eventually. What
Andy,
are you going to do
today? I like that. That was good.
Today.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to take you back to our bookshop.
No way.
Yeah, way.
Yeah, way.
Right. So, for those avid listeners to the pod, we have used this fictional bookshop as an example to talk about businessy type stuff. So we've kitted it out with.
Whoa! It's fictional.
Get it?
Okay.
Bookshop fictional. Anyway,
I just wanted to emphasise that because it was a rubbish joke.
So it was Andy's. And I heard a rubbish joke yet. So no, stop it,
please.
It was there's someone been making owl noises in here.
Who?
Exactly.
Right, fell right into that. Right into it.
I knew you'd hit that out of the park for me. Thank you. Right. So our bookshop, it's either been Andy's or Adam's Ware Bookshop. It's interchangeable. We have talked about business setup. We've talked about marketing approaches. We've looked at IT technologies. And actually, a Copilot application would be good for that.
That would be phenomenal.
There we go. So that's probably a future one we can look at. How could Copilot help? But something I've been doing quite a lot of behind the scenes, and this is some of our work, and I've said this on a recent sort of training video that I've delivered. A lot of our work is actually sat at computers and isn't very, and it's like, if we, it's like, hey, sat at a computer again, but actually what we're doing is, having made the videos, shot the photographs, we will then be taking that into various projects, and, whilst it's all fun and games, like I'm running around next week photographing a golf day fundraiser.
Really?
Yep. And it's like, oh, sounds great. It's like, no, I have so much mileage to cover with all the camera gear to get round. It's going to be hard work. But some of the other projects I've been working on, which are more sat behind a computer thinking, is brand. And we've touched on brand before, but I've also been having a lot of conversations with companies and just general people in my day-to-day going, right, brand, it's a logo, right? It's it's a mark, it's what, like, so...
It's not just about...
Yeah, and I'm like, actually, I've got a lot to say about branding because there's so many different elements. When I say branding to you, what does it mean?
To me, it means your corporate image, your style, the way you interact with customers, your colours, your image, your portrayal of how you speak to customers, not only how you demonstrate that, but it's basically, I would say brand touches every aspect of your business.
And that is episode 81. It's pointing at his branding on his top. That's episode 81 complete. No, like...
But that is in it, is it?
In a nutshell, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've done the colour trick with you before. If I say dairy milk, what colour do you think?
Pink.
Yeah, and then he does that every time. Purple. Virgin, what colour?
Red.
Red, yeah. Okay, so we've talked about that. But I want to lean into the actual, you can lean back, the actual sort of considerations you make when you go into brand.
100%.
Okay, so we've got our bookshop.
Okay.
Let's call it Andy and Adams today.
Right. Alcohol. No.
Oh dear. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about how we'd go about the process of, because everyone just sees the brand, and I'm working on a branding project at the moment, and we're doing weekly meetings. There's been a break, but we're probably 5 weeks into it.
Gosh. And it does take that long, by the way. I've been branded 3 times.
Have you?
Yeah, I started off as the PC doctor. Then I started off with Resilient Business Systems, but I was the key. I had a key, and I finally ended up with the cog.
Okay, take me through that process then.
So the PC doctor was when I first started up.
Yep.
It was my first naming choice. It was a rubbish choice, but I was doing it as a sideline.
Okay. And it was you.
And it was just me.
Yeah.
And I was doing it as a sideline, and it was just like, it seemed to be the right thing to do because I was just fixing PCs, so the PC doctor. We then came up, I remember being at a customer's house, a very nice chap, and I was installing Wi-Fi and fixing his PC. And he went, "What's your business called, Andy?" And I went, I'm the PC doctor. And I won't use the exact word, but he went, "That's crap." And he went, "It doesn't say anything about what you really do, because you don't just fix PCs, do you?" And I'm like, "Well, no." He says, "Today you're here fixing my Wi-Fi, installing my Wi-Fi. That's not the PC doctor." So I took that away, and we ended up going, and funny enough, it was both myself and Michelle just doing brainstorming, and we like, what do we do? We're working with businesses, we're working with systems, we're making them better, we're making them resilient. Resilient business systems. So that actually worked out very well.
I love that.
We ended up having our first logo as a key, a keyboard, of a keyboard. And again, that was probably...
I think I remember seeing that.
Yeah, it was on our very first one. It actually looked quite good. It was a 3D key, and it looked very well.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that, definitely.
But then, again, you get into a, shall I say, your company gets grounded. You start to understand really what resilient systems was about, resilient business systems. And again, through talking to customers, through talking to friends, you say, "Oh, you just do everything about IT. You're like a huge cog that does everything."
Hence why I got a cog. Yeah, if you haven't seen the logo, 3 cogs.
Yeah.
A red one, biggest. Then like a 2 silver, medium and small.
Exactly. And then Michelle came up with that idea, saying, "What do you think about this, where we just build, with a cog in your industry, with a cog in your business?" And that was just like, "Michelle, you've nailed it." And that's been our logo for the last God knows how long.
And what I'd say about that is a cog is typically associated with what?
Machines.
Exactly. And not necessarily computers, but the reason why I like it works well is it's that visual representation of what the business is doing, if that makes sense. So there's a really good example on the journey with branding, because it isn't static.
No.
So the client I'm working with at present, they've got a colour and then their name written on the colour. So it's a rectangular colour with just the name written on it.
Okay.
So there's been no sort of development of the brand, and this is, they've said this themselves. So it's not it's not like someone's had a go and then they've gone. We have no brand actually.
Yeah,
we have no brand, which for me coming into it is a really unique position, unless it's a startup, and it isn't a startup. They've been around for years, so. Coming into
interesting then, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got like a blank canvas, but it is not blank.
No.
I've got, do you know, you were saying you found out what you're grounded in, all of this. I'm working on a branding project and they understand what they're grounded in. And it's actually thrown up, you'd think, oh, that's easy then. Well, no, because how many services do you offer, sir? Yeah. Do you see what I mean, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So are you having a computer in your logo, if we talk about yours? Is it going to be a computer? Is it going to be a Wi-Fi router? Is it going to be a router and a computer? Is it going to be a computer sending some... Like, how do you summarise that business with some iconography? So a huge part of what we'll come on to, iconography.
Iconography.
Right, so, thank you, setting it up, lovely. Yeah. What is that little picture you see in the web browser tab on a website?
It's a globe.
Not that one.
Oh.
So for you, it is the cogs.
Yes, it is.
Do you know what they call that icon in the browser? Do you know that?
No.
So.
Oh, sorry, is it the fav icon?
Yes.
Right.
So the fav icon, favicon.
Yeah.
I never know what to say with it. I hate the word in truth. So favicon, favorite icon. So favorite icon. The idea is when you save it as your favorites, that's the little picture that comes up there. A lot of the driver when I'm working on branding with people is they want their logo to appear in the top of the browser.
That must be ridiculously hard.
Yeah. So if it's loads of words, it's no. But with yours, it's just the cogs.
It's quite easy to red cog.
Yeah, chuck up. There you go, sorted. Like, there's no... So when I'm looking at a branding project, iconography, for me, is a really important part. So the Hubspoke logo has got a blue circle 100% cyan, as you remember.
Do you like buying cyan?
Don't do 100% cyan, because there is a cartridge dedicated to that colour.
I've seen the 12 boxes on the side of your desk. Yeah. Oh, that's just cyan, Andy.
Litres of the stuff. So think colour.
Yeah.
Think printer cartridges if you're doing a lot yourself. But then what you need to think about, so we've got the blue cog. Why did I go blue? I like blue, basically. I enjoy blue. It represents, and you can Google it, what do colours represent.
Funnily enough, that's what I was going to come on to. The reason that Michelle went for this blue, apparently it's a warm colour. Mm-hmm. When she looked at red, she was like, that means danger.
Yeah.
But also what she said, it's the most striking against a blue. So actually, we'll go for blue.
Yeah, but in the shape of a cog, I would argue it can show you security as well.
Correct, exactly.
It's like a stop.
Yeah. And that's, again, it all works. But you actually, what you were about to say there, when you looked and went, oh, and I just went, meaning of colours, oh my goodness me, talk about a rabbit hole.
Yeah. What colours NHS?
Blue.
Yeah, which is pretty much colour match to the baton.
Absolutely.
Like, they did, and that's colour of trust. And then if you look at anyone that's in the corporate world offering sort of management service, like consultancy services, guess what colour appears the most? Blue. And that is why Hubspoke has blue. But I went for cyan because I like spending money on it. Well, I was like, it's a bit of a lighter, softer, kind of bit more playful blue.
Would you ever rebrand?
Do you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. And I was like, I don't know what I'd do though, because the icon, when I set the company up, it was Hubspoke Marketing Limited, and the logo...
Not the Ratchet one.
No, not Ratchet. Yeah, it's Hubspoke, Hub and Spoke. Because
I still love that
bike
story.
tools, Ratchet Marketing. I'm saying Ratchet, the tool, if people are
I can just imagine when you said that to Corey, she just looked at you and went...
Really?
And you just went, yeah, but hang on, I just realised what I said.
It was terrible. But you never know, it could work. It would stand out.
It would really stand out.
Yeah, so would I rebrand? I don't know, because when I set up Hubspoke, it's the thing is, you go on a little, what am I going to call it? And that's part of the problem, what you're going to call it. And we touched on that before with branding, and that's the start, the company name. There's somebody just launched, and you won't mind me shouting him out. I had a coffee with him the other week, and he was just picking my brain about it. He goes, I'm setting up a business, carpet cleaning. He's now launched Carpet Ninja.
Carpet Ninja.
Brilliant.
It's like a ninja.
Yeah, exactly. But if you think about it, it kind of captures what he's doing. So he's carpet cleaning. He's obviously going into people's homes.
Pulling the rug from under them.
Yeah. I think they move out. Well, not move out. They leave. But, obviously, Ninja is representative of being stealthy, light on your feet, gentle, all that sort of stuff. Yes, there's a combat element to it as well. But if you're attacking dirt and grime, it really lends itself quite nicely.
Enough, absolutely.
So I'm like, great shout, Darren. Awesome. And we should get him in actually, because he started. Really Darren, I'm calling you out. You're coming on. Can we tag him on Instagram in this reel? Carpet Ninja, Darren, we would like you to come on the podcast. I'm looking to camera people listening now.
Absolutely.
Right. So, we should get him on and see how it's going. But he's thought about that brand carefully and what he's doing. And I'm like, that's really good because it represents so many. So when I'm looking at myself, I was like, Hub and Spoke. Well, I'm thinking that people they won't want all the marketing. I might just do a bit of it. So they'll pay us for a bit. That's the spoke element. And then the idea is you put spokes into your business. All the spokes make the strength of the wheel.
100%.
Connecting to your business hub. There's the cliche bit of it, sort of thing. Yeah, but that was the idea behind it. Would I rebrand? I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. The thing is, when I'd first do it, everyone would go, what?
Yeah.
What's your company? What's this? But now, because it is just a bit different, people recognise it. And, Hubspoke Media. Whereas before, I used to have to go Hub and Spoke. And I spent the first 5 years really having to explain.
Yeah, we rebranded 5 years in.
Yeah. Yeah, and people would be like, why Hub and Spoke? What's that? Sort of thing. So I did some work on that around it. Would I rebrand? I don't know. I was thinking about this, and where would I go?
Very difficult decision. 5 years in, our key thing was everywhere. Business cards, T-shirts, the lot. Yeah. And then we really need to change. But that's what I'm saying. We grounded. We evolved. We were much more. When you very, very, very first started your business, Adam, you were doing marketing. You were doing websites. You were doing whatever. Now look at you. Videography. You do TV adverts. Podcasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that really...
And that's why we transitioned to the media.
Absolutely.
Hubspoke media.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's a very difficult decision. I think some companies are frightened of doing it.
Yeah.
I don't mind telling you, we chucked about 4,000 business pieces of stuff away in total because it was the old logo.
So how I developed that then from that is originally as a wheel.
Yes.
Hub and spoke wheel. And then what I was like is what can I look at? What represents photography? So this is where we come back into the chat looking at branding. What represents photography? Well,
the dial.
Yeah, aperture blades, dial.
Dial.
Yeah, so in our logo, it's an aperture blade.
Yep.
Which represents, the shutter bit that people see on the cameras. It's that, and that is the bit that's in the blue.
Yes.
The rest is in black.
not cyan.
Not more cyan. So that felt right for where we were at the business, and also the time it's taken us to develop into the other videography bits. Yeah. It's what we do. So in terms of iconography, it's a really important thing to get right. So how do you capture? How do I go about capturing? Especially with this client, for example, there's two elements to the business. I'm like, God, how can I look at this? Because you can go, like property people might get a house, in there, or a geometric sort of shape or a line of a house roof over the name. That's quite a common thing to have.
It is.
Or houses in the middle, name underneath. There's a load of different ways that people can do it. The other way you can look at is, whilst you could have a house or a bike or a pen or I don't know, a computer.
Yeah.
The other way you can look at it is like geometrics.
Yes.
Geometric shapes. So what I mean by that is you could have an interlocking shape, you could have an interesting shape, and the what I'm working on at the moment, we're incorporating something called negative space. What does that mean?
Negative space.
Negative space. What does that mean to you? Do you know what that means?
Actually, I'll be honest. No. I don't.
Okay, so negative space is one of my favourite things to play with. It's one of the harder ones I find to do. So imagine if I have a shape that leaves gaps, for example. So I could have, if I had two circles, so a bigger circle, yeah, and then I overlap another circle, okay.
You've got some very peculiar binoculars.
Yeah. But then what I do is I put a white outline, say, on the top circle.
Yeah.
You'd have a white line on top of the bottom circle.
Right.
What would that white line look like to you? What letter? If it was going this way. I'm drawing it.
C.
A C.
Yes.
So let's say you had a C in your company. You could use two shapes to actually form the shape of a letter. Yeah?
Yes, I'm with you.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you had two interlocking triangles on top of each other, you could then create the shape of an A.
Yes, you could.
Without actually writing the letter A, but you're using block colour to leave a gap to give the impression of a shape. It could be a shape of something. It could be a house.
Now,
could be a letter.
Yeah.
So the idea is you're not actually you're almost not drawing it to draw it. So it's when you look at it, you'll see a block of colour, and in the gap, you'll see the letter, the shape of what you're looking for.
Okay, so there's two things that spring to mind. I've seen a HP laptop. Their H is no longer a line across it.
Yep.
It's just two lines. But
there we go.
Recognise it as the logo.
That is negative space.
HP. And MSI have just done the exact same thing with their laptops. When you look at their logo on the top, it's three lines, but you instantly go M.
That's an M.
MSI.
That's a negative, yeah. So there's a really good example, right? So, and they can be tricky, as you can imagine.
Oh,
so
gosh, yeah.
And they can kind of have a geometrical element to it. They are the ones where you're sitting going, right, what can I play, like manipulate and do, and what can I create with it? So when you're looking at it, you could look at a house or a cog or whatever you want to look at in terms of a shape. You could then look at a geometric shape. You could have a circle, square, this, that, and the other. You could, utilize both. You could incorporate an icon into that. So imagine if we had your red cog.
Yep.
Imagine you had a red box, but the cog was in white.
Yeah.
You've almost... It's not so much a negative... It kind of is a negative space thing going on, but you could have all sorts of stuff going on with that in terms of, block colour, then with a white shape in the middle, and this, that, and the other. There's loads of good ways to do it in terms of what we've got there.
Okay. The bit that I was looking for is rebranding mistakes. I remember reading this. So apparently, Gap, the company Gap, so obviously that they used the same logo, which was basically, I'm sure I knew this, but I said that was what they had.
Yep.
They changed it to that.
Yes.
And it was a complete disaster, they said. And I'd like to give you how much money did they spend on rebranding to that logo and then turn it back into original logo.
I don't want to guess.
100 million. Sorry, 100 million. Right, 100 million on rebranding, and that was a complete disaster.
So, but there's the point, right? And people go, "How has it cost that much money?" Like who? Because they see it as. They see it as like a person is getting paid, a consultant is getting paid big bucks to change some squiggles on a thing. Yeah. The problem is, right, it is so important to get right.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Nike is a really good example for me because they have the tick.
Correct.
Do you see the tick? You know it's Nike.
Correct.
But they also have the wording.
Yeah,
Like Nike have actually got several. And then they've got the strap line, just do it.
Yeah.
So you could see "just do it" written on a T-shirt.
You'd instantly know.
You know what it is, but it's all protected and done. But it's like they've got 3 different ways of saying Nike without one of them is saying the word Nike, but they've got essentially 3 variations there.
Yeah.
Whereas they all mean the same thing to you.
No, they do.
And they do it, but that's why it's so important to get these things right. Equally, people go, "Why does it cost so much?" You just talked about chucking all these stuff away that you had.
Yep.
Because if you've printed it and done it, signage on shops. 100%. If it was, in terms of Gap and this, that, and the other. And I remember BT rebranded.
They did.
It was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And people were like, I remember the headline was like, BT have spent a fortune on their rebranding, and it is just literally a simple BT lettering in a circle.
Yeah.
Because originally it was the flute sort of player.
Yeah.
And it was very detailed. Which, when you shrink down, sometimes when you've got very detailed logos, when you shrink them down, they need to be small for favicons and stuff like that. You lose the detail.
It looks a mess.
So people are going, well, someone's had their eyes out here they've just done B&T in the circle and they've spent God knows how much on it. And it's like, it's not just that bit, it's the bit, they've got to change all the websites, they've got to change all the letterheads. Everything has to be reprinted, banners, the whole lot.
I'll tell you a little story. It's interesting. You've literally just reminded me. A good friend of mine, when I worked up in Scotland, we read that about the BT branding.
Yeah.
And we absolutely took the mickey by saying, but that's incredible. So we had, in our own minds, we used to work every day together, and we all used to have to take it in turns to come to the table the next day, to the office the next day, with the worst rebranding that you could think of. Because obviously BT...
Yeah, they took a lot of flack for it.
Oh, they certainly did. And we came up, and I always remember, he was like, right, and we played the scenario. Okay, we've got the people from the Falkirk Wheel. They're coming to and we need to make it. We need to rebrand it. So we can imagine you sat in there and said, so what have you got? Got a large wheel. Okay. And where are you from? Falkirk. Right. How about the Falkirk wheel? Sold. $100 million, please.
But it's true. And people do see branding as that. And I think the problem is people. I've had people want to do branding on a budget.
Yes.
People not want to. Like I've just told you, I'm 5 weeks into this project.
Can I ask another question though? The company in question came to you and said, "We've got no brand."
Yep.
Okay. You have obviously done your due diligence. You've come together, and I'm going to guess, my friend, you've come together with some examples, some solutions, some ideas. Can I bravely ask, from a company that went, we haven't got a brand, how much input does it now, and how much pain does it now cause?
It doesn't cause pain because it's a great project to be in. I'm going to show you, but I can't show it I'm not going to show it on camera.
Right.
So this is the way I do it now, presentation document. So,
very nice.
So in terms of branding, this is what I've actually written. I can refer to this.
Beautiful.
Right. So thank you.
No, that honestly.
Yeah.
Really.
So obviously when they're going, we've got no brand. So what I'm saying to them is, right, here's the components of branding. Before we even look at anything, here's the components of branding. That. So read out some of the words that are on there.
Symmetry, meaning, colour, adaptability, space, fit for use, assets, words. That's beautiful, man. That really is. Because when I think about what we did for Resilient Systems, without realising it, me and Michelle spent a lot of time doing exactly that, coming up with different fonts, going, it's not going to work. It doesn't work. It's colour's awful because it can't work with. Shrinking it down on the website, no, it won't work.
So what's your primary font colour? What's your primary colour? What's your secondary colour? What's the third colour if you need it? What are you doing when you're putting things on black and white and this and that?
White.
Yours is great because if you want to put it on an image and you don't want to clash with the red, you just have a white version.
Yeah, we do.
Exactly. So the other word I've got on there is asymmetry because it doesn't mean... So all I'm going to do is there is a load of fonts there that I've got on screen. How many fonts, roughly? 10?
Ooh, 10 fonts. Why does no company ever use...
Have I took it out?
You did. Comic Sans.
They said jokingly, someone suggested we have Comic Sans. I actually made a logo in Comic Sans at the end of the presentation that I did the first one. Colours. So exploring colour. So Adobe, for example, have a really good...
Sorry, I'm going to...
That's all right. What's this? Oh, there we go.
Rebranded it and somebody...
What, they actually did that?
They actually did it in Comic Sans.
Wow. Okay, there we go.
Cost them a fortune.
Comic Sans is like the joke font of the internet for some reason. It's because everyone used it in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
So exploring colour, there's different ways that you can do it. There's monochromatic, which are all, see how the colours are in a line.
Clever.
So what you can do is you can put a key colour in these colour tools.
Right.
So you might go, so there it's based on that red.
Yeah.
And then what Adobe does is it goes, here's some comparable colours. And it actually looks at it from a mathematical basis, but it kind of works. There's also like quad, I think it's quadratic or something they call it, and triad.
Would Adobe back in the day have said never use cyan?
No, it probably wouldn't because you could just stick it in and do it. But what it does, it spreads out the colours on the colour wheel and helps you look for complementary colours.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, fantastic. Really important job to do. So then, exploring ideas. So this is the first. Bearing in mind, this is after all the initial meetings.
Yeah.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 on there.
Gosh.
There's another 8
on
there. Then this is another brand that we're co-branding with them, and then there's 7 again.
7 again on there.
And that was like a secondary thing that we're dealing with first. So then we go into the discussion. So we've had a meeting over those, and they've told me what they like, what they don't like, and then I've gone, right, here's this sort of format. So this is one with a line in.
Yeah.
This is one with these kind of shapes, and the idea is building blocks and ladders and all this sort of stuff. Then I've started to incorporate the colour from the other side. Yeah. Then we go to this, so more ideas. So how many different versions am I on, right?
What, 10 a page?
Yeah, so we're on page 10 or something now. So then scroll over, developing the other brand.
Yeah.
Developing
that one as well.
Developing the other brand further. I'll sell it to you.
But again, without saying anything, what I like about it is that to me, if you associated that with the company, eventually I would just go, it's...
Yeah,
and that's the key. And also that would shrink down beautifully. So fab icon.
We're probably like 20 various ideas. It's ideas. What I'm not doing is everything is individual. Some are just tweaks. Some's changing the iconography. Then what I got them to do is I then started exploring different shapes and connected elements. So this is getting into the geometric side of things.
I like that.
Then I looked at the signed kind of initial idea, because you can do that with abbreviated letters. Then I said, come back to me with 2 logos, 2 font choices to take forward.
Right.
Came back with a bit more than that, but it's fine.
But that's what I was getting at.
We're working on it.
But
it's triggered it. And all of this, all in between while I'm working on these different designs, I'm going back and forward to the client. We're going, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? But what you then find is, then I've took it into the fonts that they like. There's the negative space item that I'm on about.
Correct.
However, and then I've took those in with the 2 font items, and then through some more of the comments, because sometimes the problem with branding is people don't know what they're looking for when we're necessarily looking for.
100%.
So then what I did was I've actually thrown at this point a couple of wildcards in. So there's a brand new one, interconnected error.
I see what you've done there.
And then that one.
I like.
So not to be vague, we're going geometric. Negative space, so you see in the gap there is an S.
Nice.
Yep. So what we're trying to do is get it so it's like a stamp. And the idea of a brand, if we all think of what a brand is, it's that the farmer brand on the cattle is kind of how people, it's putting your mark on there, and it's about having elements. So all the elements that have come forward, and at the moment where we're at is, we like the iconography because it's that stamp, the wax seal of what you want. But then it's the font choices. There we go. So we've got a lead font and a secondary font. And then what we'll do is, following that and the agreement, we'll then work out the colour scheme for, because we're going to do a website project as well. So then we'll understand how we're going to accent it and use it.
Nice, okay. I like it.
But it's also, everything on there has a reason, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. But I was half joking and not joking. Me and you have been in the same realm of designing websites. And, you know, we've all been there where, Adam, I'm designing a website for me. Tell me what you do. I do websites.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not going to cut it. And what we tend to find is, from a company that has no idea or can't give me their thoughts on the business, we end up doing a lot more work, a lot more input into just do it for me, Andy. You know what I do. And I'm like, not really, but I'll give it a go. Mm-hmm. You end up creating and spending quite a lot of time for either the customer to go, I love it, or more often than not, well, that's rubbish, Andy.
It's very easy for someone to tell you what they don't like.
Thank you.
It's very hard for them to tell, because they might like elements and they might like, but it's hard to bring it together, and sometimes depends how people think as well visually. So sometimes until they see it on the page, they don't seem to. So back to the branding bit. I mean, what are we? 26 slides.
I know.
Is what I've got there for and what I've done is I've kept it all in to show it as a journey.
Yes.
From where we've gone. So at any point, if we need to go back, we can, and we've done that. So when people are going, why is it so expensive at time? And it's not. I'm not charging ridiculous amount. What I'm doing is we're doing a comprehensive process to try and work out how we're going to present it, and then we do it. And then this last one, you can see I've brought the icon elements and watermark them into the imagery, so you can see how it starts to, you use it as design elements. So you could use this.
May I ask, are these two companies, they are linked, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Which is why I like the fact that you've done that.
Yeah, so there's two elements, two companies. One's operated by the other.
Right.
However, one's blue and one's red.
Yeah.
So I've gone, well, how can I bring them under one? Because they've never been under one roof in terms of branding perspective.
Yeah.
So my argument to them is, I'm trying to bring something that links the two.
Yeah.
That can stand on their own.
Yes.
But actually makes sense to be next to each other at the same time.
Is that the finished design, by the way? I really hope it is, because that is beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you like it. We're working on it. We're working on it. But to give someone an understanding, because actually, Pete, it's hard to see. Like when someone goes, design me a logo, they just see this little logo on the thing, and it's like, you know, trying to bring all those creative ideas together and do it is quite a challenge. It's how do you sum up everything you do in an icon?
Which is why we came up with our cog.
You've summarised the action.
Yes.
Is what I'd say. So if we go back to the bookshop, what would be looking for? Well, obviously books.
Yes.
Would be in there.
Yep.
But then it would be like, it's a rare bookshop. Yep. So I'd be going like, what do we do? Well, as our rare bookshop, fictional, we go and hunt the rare books down. So what's our action? What's our service? Well, we go find them.
Yes.
So can I do something that does that?
Glass.
Yeah. Exactly. So you'd be like, right, what can we do? What represents exploring? What represents searching? What colours could we do?
Yeah.
You know, could we do something that's like? Sorry, playing footsie. Could we do something that's like map-based? Say, like incorporating a book. So there's a whole raft of ideas where very quickly you can go out and do that. The other way you could do it is, you know, what do we just represent the letter B? You know, like could we do that? And it's celebrating the book. You know, for example, and it's not just going. Where's a book clip art? Stick that on Comic Sans font, rare bookshop.
Why can't we use Comic Sans?
Because then, well, we can't. You can if you want. If you really want to, you can.
If you really want to.
People might
what
not
I'm
take
just
it
searching
seriously.
for here is this is one of my customers. The lovely people down at Gazelle Bookkeeping Services. And what I'm very interested in is your view on their logo, because I actually think it's perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
Does it not do exactly what it...
So there's a gazelle jumping over a book.
Yeah, but I look at that and I was like, fantastic. Yeah. However, the full version of that incorporated into a fav icon is absolutely shocking.
Yep.
So what they've done is they've just taken the gazelle.
Perfect.
Yeah. What I'm getting at, my friend, is if you looked at that gazelle...
And it's not cyan.
No, it's not cyan. But if you looked at that gazelle, you would never associate it with the bookkeeping services.
Yep.
If you looked at my cog alone, you wouldn't think IT. But that's what I'm getting at. If I looked at what you've done for that company, fantastic. I don't think it represents the finished logo, what they do, but it's all about that visualization.
And this is my point, actually. Yes. So there, I've combined shapes to make the shapes of the letters basically it's an S and a J. So I've managed to tie in using shape.
Yes, you have.
An S and a J. And the idea is you could take the top part of the S off. So together it looks like an S.
Yeah.
And the bottom part looks like a J. You could take the top part off and just be left with a J.
You can.
Also, theirs has got a huge networking element and this, that, and the other. So it's about a journey and a pathway. So there's negative space, which is white, which runs through the middle.
Correct.
And then there's also entry points in the shapes.
There is.
Where it represents like rungs on a ladder or different entry points at different heights.
Honestly, that's brilliant what you've done.
Yeah, so... But
what a journey as well.
Yeah, but how do I... At the start, I wasn't going to come up with that shape. No. Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
even you must have gone on a journey.
Yeah, I have. Because I sat there going, right, they said something, and they said something, I was like, right, okay.
Yeah.
It was, someone said about nouvelle riche. Right, it's like being show-offy, vibrant, and all this. I was like, I'll give you show-off and vibrant then. Let's have a go at this then. Like another idea. So I was like, right, I've got a great idea. And actually, I'll be honest, the initial first design that you saw was inspired by the esports space.
Yes.
They're not esports.
No, they're not.
But I was like, but they stand out like a mile, these things. And actually, when you want to see separation, and I'm trying to do something that's a bit different, don't worry, it's not like a tiger going or anything. But yeah, so been playing with shape a lot to do that.
Really good, mate.
You don't automatically think. So when people are thinking about branding, I think the first thing is, yes, you can just slap a name on, you can do the iconography, and you can go, there we go. And that'll work, it's fine. It's not a problem. But if you want to go on a bit more of a journey and really try to underpin, these guys deal globally, worldwide. So we're looking at the next final meetings to put these forward. And we've got to factor in time zones to do it.
Absolutely.
So, and that hopefully will move us nearer. So in terms of that, we're establishing the brand, we're making the brand. It doesn't currently exist.
No.
So the question comes back to what makes the brand. Well, then what we'll do, let's say the sign off one of those designs, we'll then go, right, here's your font that you should use on emails, and that'll be a font that is readily available on Office Suite, for example.
It has to be, by the way.
Yeah. You need it. Don't bother doing anything else, and just make it clean and simple.
Yeah.
Clean and simple.
Absolutely.
Modern.
Can I also mention that one of my other friends works in a different company, and they decided to pick a font, and they found the font that they'd like, and realised it was a specialist font.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness me, how much pain did it cause them? Because not everybody can see it. It automatically converted to another font when people opened it, and they couldn't quite get it. And in retrospect, they understood, but at the time they were going, well, why is it converting the font? Because I've not got it installed on my machine. Well, install it. I can't. It's a protected font.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, fonts are not just available.
No, they're not. And they decided to have a look at how much it would cost to have this font. Oh my goodness me.
Yeah, well, I worked somewhere.
Cost.
Where was it? I worked somewhere, and there was a font available by a national governing body, shall we say, who we managed to get the license to use the font.
Right.
And then it was like, right, we've got it, but it was protected. It was under all their and it caused an issue initially to get it all installed onto the right things. What I'd say is, if you want to use a specialist font, you can on logos, absolutely, because ultimately a logo becomes an image file,
of course,
or a PDF file, or an SVG file, or a vector file, or so on and so forth. But basically, it becomes an image file.
Yeah.
So that isn't an issue because it's an image. Okay, but when you're writing and you're trying to use it, you need to pick something that's very, so it's almost like you've got your fonts and your logos. They're one thing. but what you're writing with on a daily basis. Colour scheme, obviously, that'll be established through the logo, but then it's like, how is it going to interact with other colours? You sign, you sign, don't you sign? But also, how much? Well, in that case, how much cyan are we going to use? Well, we're not going to paint the whole page cyan blue. We're going to use it as accents to make things stand out and lift. Yes. What you do is every logo that you do, in my view, should all work in a black only version.
Yes.
And a white only version, so that you can use the logo on images and things like this. And then what you've got is your brand guidelines. Brand guidelines show you how not to break people's logos, and I've seen people do it. It tells you how much space it should have around it. It tells you how not to use the logo. It tells you when to use which versions of the logo when.
For a company rebrand that we've just been through with one of my lovely customers, Validate Property, you remember Hannah Worsley, who came in there? She helps this company out. The branding company sent us, Resilient, because we've got to do their backgrounds and Microsoft 365 images, 35-page branding document of how to use it. When you are positioning the logo, make sure that there's this space, this space. And it was quite a detailed
That's
thing.
what I've got to do after that.
Absolutely, mate.
Once that's buttoned down.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, or what I'm helping you establish, is that when you do these branding, once you've established that branding, you've then got to go, don't break it.
Yeah, you mess with it. You base brand guidelines. People go, oh god. I remember seeing brand guidelines for the first time. Going, this is a bit over the top for a logo. It's about protection. It's about your, if I just took your logo and started changing it and it looked different, or I put the cog in a different place and this, that, and the other, you're like, well, that's not us. That's how we are. So it's really important to protect people's logos and use it correctly. And that's what the brand guidelines then establish. It also tells you what fonts to use. And it's great for people like us. So when we're working, we've just done a presentation video for a company that are exhibiting. I've done photography for them, this, that, and the other, but we're on a stand, we want a video to play. Here's a load of stuff, can you sort it out? And I've gone, yep, send me your brand guidelines.
Good man.
Because that tells me all the do's and don'ts and how I can use it. And then I can very quickly actually pull some stuff together.
But also, can I just state that if you'd have gone, not a problem at all, spent 6-7 hours pulling it together for somebody to go, no, sorry, rip it all down, start again, because you haven't followed our brand guidelines.
You've got a duty to look after people's brands, and it's really important. So that's what we've done so far in that branding project. I think looking at the Rare Bookshop, you'd be looking at iconography, you'd be looking at the fonts, you'd be looking at how you use it. Is there a small version? What does it look like when it's on a letterhead?
Correct.
Footer, all of those sort of things. Then it's like tone of voice and everything else, which is a whole different kettle of fish.
Me, yes.
So I don't know whether I've gone too far down.
No, I think it's been fascinating.
But it's more, I've been dealing with a lot of questions around branding and people doing it and going, well, why does it cost this? And I'm like, because I'm 28 pages into it, and we haven't, we've got a short list, we haven't firmed it off, and I've still got to create all the brand guidelines and everything else.
No, it's been excellent.
What's that? It's a little square case thing about the side. Oh, I know what that is. Flipper Zero.
It's a Flipper Zero. Do you know what a Flipper Zero is?
I don't know what I do. I don't know what a Flipper Zero is. Please tell me.
It is a ethical hacking tool.
If you use it ethically.
If you use it ethically. I play with these things a lot.
Yep.
And I showed it to Bearded Adam. Although you are sporting a fine.
I am. I need a trim.
Yeah, no,
because I went swimming.
Exactly. Because this is an ethical hacking tool.
Went swimming, by the way.
Some of the things that I've been doing and working with it is actually quite good. I know very difficult for people to see, but you can have a little look upon that, my friend. There's loads of different.
Of course, there's games on there.
Lots of games and stuff like that. But one of the ones that I wanted to show you about, which is actually quite clever, is there's an option to say infrared.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got the option to say infrared there. And universal remote, learn new remote. So if I just press learn,
I see where this is going already.
Point the remote at the IR port and push the button. What have I just done there, Adam?
You've just cloned our TV remote.
Yeah, and if I then point my flipper at the remote and press the send signal.
He's turned it off.
And then I press it again.
He's turned it back on, and the artwork won't be on. This is the size of a small TV remote.
It's actually not working.
He's completely broken it.
Broken it.
Never mind. And it's got an image of a little dolphin, and these are all over the internet. And I've seen YouTube videos of people.
Yeah, I'll turn that off.
Yeah, turn it off. What do I press?
Does it press the middle one? Send. There you go.
Turned it off.
Now what I can do, what's really good, is that you can be doing a podcast with the TV thing. I can just walk past and press the button and turn the TV on.
Yes. So, but there's videos on YouTube of people using these to turn off various displays in various places and stuff like this. And I'd say it's a bit of misadventure.
But it's great fun.
It's great.
Actually doing other things with it. It really is. And as I say, I do this as a bit of fun. In terms of what you're doing, but the other thing that is...
it's good to understand from a vulnerability standpoint as well, right?
Absolutely. If you take it, doing it ethically, it's actually the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But this is... I want you to read what that says.
Doom, the game, and Snake, the classic Nokia game. There's the music for Doom. Can you hear that, Alina? Yeah, good. Let's have a look, see. I mean, this thing, the screen is tight. Oh, yeah.
Watch.
Get some.
No, I'm going to come down this door here and turn. Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go.
It's going to get me.
It's like being back in the 90s.
That's incredible in terms of of that.
It's called a Flipper Zero. People can use it for nefarious activities. Obviously, you want to use it to do right things. What we've got? Oh, the dolphin is doing things.
He's doing things.
But it's worth noting that people should be aware of these tools.
100%.
Like there, he's cloned our TV remote, for example. He needed the TV remote to do that. But this is why you should be locking down your processors, systems, access points and things like that.
I won't tell you why we're using this, but there are some things that I believe that the reason I got this, and I'm learning it as we go along. But if I just say
if you're aware,
and that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So I need to be ahead of the game to see what these things can do.
Yes.
To show and protect and. But there are also some other interesting aspects, and interestingly enough, we used it at our friend's Babbles.
Yes.
Okay, because they were getting a little bit of interference with the Wi-Fi, and one of the options...
Oh, you can see the channels, can't you?
I can see the channels. Now, yes, there are other things that we can do. There's other better aspects.
Yeah.
But certainly, there are things that you can do with this that will actually allow me to see RFID. It'll allow me to see gigahertz signals and things like that, and what's been interrupted, what's affecting it. And it's a really clever tool, all running off a
So that'd help you find a better channel to put the Wi-Fi on.
And as I'm saying, they're the examples. Yeah. But people do call it an ethical hacking tool. I understand that there can be some people that use it for naughty reasons, but the reason I've got to get into this thing is why I showed you the WannaCry. Remember me?
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Putting a WannaCry virus on my machine.
I was like, just stay away from it. I didn't want to stand near you.
No, but that's the reason why. So beautiful little tool.
Yeah. It's amazing the technology out there, and I think it's so important to be aware in terms of upskilling.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm learning.
Yeah, 100%.
Good stuff.
What are you doing this weekend? Apart from turning on my TV and turning it off again.
Learning how to turn... No. Actually, nothing.
There we go. That's good.
What have I been doing? I have finished the game Avowed.
Yes, I've heard very good things.
Very good things. Very, very, very good things. Last week I finished the game Atomfall, which I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I did that. I've got 26 days and counting for the latest Doom game, funnily enough, Doom.
Right, there we go, yeah.
So in the meantime, I was like, don't know what to do, don't know what to play. The lovely people at Microsoft have released free on Game Pass. It's not free because I pay for Game Pass, but you know what I mean. They released Grand Theft Auto 5, the enhanced ray tracing edition.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my goodness me, I will just click to download 100 gigabytes of gaming later. I am now back to playing Grand Theft Auto for a bit of fun. But that's my whole weekend is just going to be fun. I
have re-entered the world of Minecraft a little bit with the kids. Because we saw the Minecraft movie.
We saw the Minecraft movie.
Very good movie.
Very good movie. Oh, also, talking about automation, my father, as you know, lovely little man, hated everything to do with her, Alexa, and all the rest of it. Absolutely. Now, an absolute gadget
all over
freak.
Yep.
All over it. He got some blinds that were automated. So they can
Brilliant.
come down. But that's for a remote. But that's really nice. But because of the weather and the sunshine coming, the sun beams right into his house, and he wanted some curtains.
Yep.
So we got him some really nice curtains, put it up, and then bless him, he has got a bad back. So tugging the curtains. A little bit of that. Oh, we automated it.
Did you?
Yeah.
So
we got some generic rollers for the rod. It's like a circular rod. Put them all on, linked them all up, spent a good half hour. He took great pleasure. Alexa, open the curtains.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, that's cool. That's what it's all about, in it. In terms of that, obviously, I'll put stuff in at home with Mum.
Yeah.
To save her, turn the light on and off, and all that sort of stuff. It sorts it out.
I keep saying, why wouldn't you? Okay, it cost my father a little bit of money, but he's like.
Yeah.
Does it save?
It's great.
Can I do it? Yes. Yes. Why not?
Oh, that's fantastic.
What about yourself? What about you for the weekend?
I'm going to the local publican this weekend.
Oh my goodness me! What for, dear sir?
I got an invite with some friends. So I'm just popping down there for a little bit tonight, and then I'll be biking tomorrow. I'm DJing tomorrow night.
Oh, DJ.
A 13-year-old party.
Oh my goodness me! So there'll be lots of
be good fun,
thumping tunes.
Yeah, it'll be good.
How dare I ask, how's your rugby going? Because I know you've not been too well with your shoulder.
No, to be honest, there is a game tomorrow, but because I'm DJing and the times and all this, and I'm equally the shoulders just come good. I'm training for the triathlon, so there is the Team Luke fundraiser event.
That's very soon, isn't it?
It's 10th of May. Yeah.
10th of May.
Yeah, so I may play in that. We'll see. Yeah. I'm there. I'm filming. I'm doing all sorts. But
we're there as well.
Whether I'm playing or not, I don't know. And I'm happy just hunting for this triathlon at the moment in terms of doing that. So I think rugby's probably done for the season. Thank you, sponsor.
No problem at all. Very happy to do it, my friend. When do I get it back?
It's been a good season. It has been a great season. And then. Yeah, at the moment I'm just working on my training for this triathlon. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to keep triathlon training. Sorry if the coach isn't listening, but I'm going to keep triathlon training over the summer in terms of swim, bike, run to get more weight off to go back in rather than destroying myself at pre-season trying to do sprints and all sorts. It's just very traumatic on the old man's legs.
I can imagine,
so no rugby this weekend. I'm actually just chilled weekend around DJing tomorrow night, basically. So I'll be training. Yeah, maybe a bit of Minecraft with the kids. Who knows?
Who knows? I did find out something quite interesting. I've forgotten his name. Mark from Emphasize Digital.
Yeah.
We were talking about gaming, and he was saying that, and I said that I originally had a Minecraft server at home, still do, but I daren't switch it back on because me and Michelle just lost our lives to it. And he said he was one of the first in the country to get an educational license from Microsoft.
Really?
For Minecraft Mahjong. And he ran his own YouTube training video.
Did he?
But back in the very early days.
The other thing I've seen on Minecraft, as it's making a resurgence, Darling Markets put a video on their Facebook page where they created the market in Minecraft.
How clever is that?
And there's a video of them running around in Minecraft in Dallas Market.
Oh, there's something I wanted to make. Sorry, we're going on now, but I do apologise. I do apologise.
Just full of ideas.
Full of ideas. I got sent something from my very, very nice customers asking me to do something. And it's all based around that'll do. You know what this is about? So I got told to do this.
Ça fera l'affaire. That will do.
Was he speaking French? Right, okay.
Apparently, it's a trend.
Well done, Team Fur, for everything you've achieved this year. From all at NIS Insurance, a very Merry Christmas.
That'll do. So apparently it's that will do, but he's asking me to do it for the Verve, and then he says, I'll put you all on the social media.
All right.
But it's all about that. But apparently it's
that will do.
That'll do. And it's not like the craze from him, from the world, like the toys. It's from him. specifically, but he's doing it to generate. So he's asking all of his customers
So
to
that'll
send
do.
it. That'll do. And then he's publishing it on social media. Saying,
Oh, brilliant.
So I think it's a great
Great
he's asked us to do it. So me and Michelle are going to...
That'll do.
That'll do. Congratulations to the Bird team. That'll do.
You got to
So
be creative on social media.
that's the
you
key. my
really
friend.
need to
That's
be.
the key.
Well, I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you, everybody, for listening, if you're
Thank
still
you
here.
for listening. It's been very kind. Enjoy your weekend, my
I
friend.
will, and you, and I'll see you next week.
You might do.
I will.
You will do.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.